Bred to win has followed the progress of a filly I bred by the speedy son of So You Think Peltzer from a winning Pendragon mare Mega Mall, from the dilemma of which sale she'd be accepted for, going through the ring here at Inglis Riverside in the HTBA sale and passing in. It's been an intriguing experience, and I wanted to share it with people who might not know what goes on when a horse is passed in at a sale. And hopefully those who race this filly eventually will taste plenty of success.
Peltzer going through his gears, and he does it again. 5 out of 5 at Randwick.
Mega Mall chiming in strongly. The favourite goes to the lead and draws away to win. You can head for the queue if you're on Mega Mall. She's home and hosed. Mega Mall, class starting to tell here. She's pulling away from Sensakova. Look at her go late. Mega Mall puts a hole in them the last 50.
Lock 40, Peltzer filly out of a full-time winning mare. Used WA.
Ollie, it's quite interesting going through the process, which I haven't done before. I've taken a weanling through to a yearling, but I haven't actually been involved in breeding a foal to take to a yearling sale. It's an incredible process. There's so much that has to fall into place to get a horse into a sale, isn't it?
Well, that's right, and it's a process that starts 3 years ago when you decide to send the mare to the stallions. So whenever people see horses going through the ring and making a lot of money, it needs to be put in that context that it takes a long time, and as you've just said, a lot of things have to fall into place. That goes from sending the mare to the right stallion, the mare going in foal, the foal being healthy, the foal being raised incident-free, the foal looking like a horse that the sales companies want to then put in a sale, and then obviously being presented to the buyers and hopefully being popular. So it's a long and complicated process, but obviously can be very rewarding if it goes right.
Yeah, well, that's the whole idea of this, is you know, people see horses being sold for a lot of money and they think, well, you just breed a horse, you pay a service fee, you get in a sale, you make a lot of money. But I just loved seeing this little Peltzer filly when she was a foal from Mega Mall. Just a beautiful, very much like him, sort of, you know, sprinty looking and a shorter neck, and looked quite a forward little filly. But then she grew. So she changed into what looks to be now a staying type filly. And I guess that makes it difficult for some of the earlier sales, so Magic Millions or an Inglis Classic or something, to accept a yearling like that obviously is probably going to look better as she's an older yearling.
Absolutely, and look, that can often be the case, is that horses will develop later on. They can be later foals, for instance, which, you know, their birth date is the starting point, but they can develop later on, or they can change, you know, and a lot of the time you're seeing a horse develop into what it's meant to be, such as this filly out of Mega Mall. Her mother's got a pedigree with full of stamina, and her sire, whilst he was a fast horse, is by So You Think. So there's a fair bit of stamina there, and she's a filly that has really, I think, grown into herself nicely over time. She's really developed it. She's got a big frame. She's filled that frame, which is really pleasing, and she looks like she's a filly who's going to get over some distance. So you're right in saying that the sales companies have got a job to do. They've got to fill the sales up at the early in the year, and they will obviously try and pick the horses that they suit those sales best. But as we all know, they may not be the best racehorses ultimately.
You have obviously Inglis Magic Millions. Everyone comes around and looks at these. Well, when they're weanlings, they start to look at these foals into yearlings. Tell us about that process, because they're unfurnished. It's very hard to really know how a horse is going to develop because they change so much.
Both sales companies will do the rounds in July or August, so the horse, you're still 6 months off the sales at that stage. So it is very early, but obviously they've got timelines that they've got to keep with getting pulling the catalogue together. They have the advantage of seeing every horse. We only see the horses under our care. So we can think they're swans, they might think that they're geese, but hopefully they'll turn into swans over time. But they have the advantage of looking at every horse, so they can line up the horses across the whole crop across Australia, and they can work out where that horse fits, and therefore does it fit in a sale, and if so, does it fit in a sale, and if so, which sale. So I don't underestimate the challenges of that task of building those catalogues that Magic Millions and Inglis's have to do. We obviously try to have the horses develop to the extent that will appeal to those, for the people who are breeding commercially. We're trying to appeal to them. We're trying to lobby, in a sense, to get some horse to a sale that we might think it should be in. But ultimately, they've got a decision to make, and they've got to make that early on. And I'm sure there are certainly times where we would disagree with their decision, but ultimately they've got a job to do and we let them do it.
All right, well, we'll catch up with you after the Peltzer filly goes through the ring at the HTBA sale, and we'll see what goes on.
Fingers crossed she sells well.
Not for that, sorry, we'll put her on by.
Well, Ollie, unfortunately, this lovely filly has passed in, but that is the story of selling thoroughbred horses, isn't it? It happens time and time again.
Yes, it certainly can happen. Naturally, it's not what we aim for, and we like to get them sold in the ring, and that's, you know, that is, as I said, what you're aiming for. But it does happen. Not every horse finds a buyer in the ring. But now what we'll do is we'll talk to people that we showed some interest before the auction and see if they're interested, and they might be looking at another horse later on, and then they might miss out on that, and then they might come back to this one. And then after that, you know, Inglis's or Magic Millions, if it was a Magic Millions sale, their teams go around. They've got obviously networks everywhere. Say we think this horse might suit a certain person, they'll give them a call and try and see if that person would be interested. So yes, the auction process doesn't always work out exactly as you would like, but it's not the end of the process.
No, exactly. And it is interesting, isn't it, as far as the trends involved with a first season stallion. You know, the filly herself, she's thrown more to being like a more staying type of filly, and that doesn't suit everybody. I mean, some of the people looking like Gerald Ryan, they want a more forward sort of horse. So it's all about trends and fitting in with the right trends of who's actually at the sale ground too.
That's right. That's right. And you know, it can a trainer might have an order from an owner and they're looking for a stayer, and then the horse is sold. But if that person's not here, it's not. So it's you know, in many ways, unfortunately, it's an inexact science, as we know. But from the inexact science comes some benefits at times, and then obviously some disappointments at times. But as I said, it's not the end of the process.
Yeah, and I guess it does play into the whole story about being a smaller breeder. I mean, this idea that breeders are all making millions and you just put your mare to a stallion and you get this horse worth $400,000, it just doesn't happen just like that the majority of the time.
Far from it. And look, if it was an easy game, everyone would be doing it, and they're not. So it's, you know, there are lots of challenges along the way, and there's lots of disappointments, but there's lots of highlights as well. And you know, you just got to stick at it and hold your nerve and keep going. And you know, with a horse like this, you know, she will hopefully find a buyer for her later on today even. But if not, there'll be other opportunities for an exit point for the owners to try and either sell her or bring some other people in, or you know, or get her to the racetrack with people who really are invested in her and want to race a horse like her.
Yeah, so it is really a sale that, you know, these are the sales that are the backbone of the industry, aren't they? These are the sales where the people that are doing it, often for the passion, are really involved.
Absolutely. You know, and look, I think most people in the industry are passionate about it at every level. Yes. And this, you know, this is one level of the industry, and you know, there'll be good sales today, and there'll be disappointing sales today. That's the game, as there are at the Easter sale and the Magic Millions. That's just at every level. You know, there are highs and lows.
And in an update since the sale, I'm keeping a share in this filly to race myself with other partners, and hopefully we have her filled in the next couple of weeks with a new trainer.